Hi friends, host Eric here, host Talking with Famous People, coming to terms with a fairly daunting mountain of options, possibilities, and raw footage from the just completed trip. And Elsie asked a very interesting question, which is, why does anyone do anything? Why did I just light the cigarette right then? That was not a plan, but it just felt like the time to do it. So, that's a really simple example of doing something, lighting a cigarette. But for most of us, when we talk about doing things, we want to do more complicated endeavors than just lighting a cigarette. And the question in this context, I guess, demands one to answer, why is it that you did that, Eric? Why did you go on that trip and visit those people? I mean, the reason it's such a good question is because I think any answer I give is meaning made after the fact. I've been trying to find instances more frequently of me taking strategic action. Like choosing to do something in order to attain a specific outcome. One thing I noticed is that when I was hanging out with Nick, there was a moment in one of the videos when basically I address his drinking, not at any length at all. I think I just say something along the lines of, you need to stop. You know you're going to have to quit that stuff. That's not going to work. Because he drinks like I used to drink, sort of. And it was depressing me. Or I was actually in, I guess, video making state. So it didn't really depress me. It presented me with an opportunity. And in that instant, I knew I had an option to get teary on it, you know? And I kind of actively chose to let that happen. And I also made note at the same time that, oh, this is one of those instances where you're making a strategic decision. And I was doing it for the video purpose, though, not for Nick's purposes. Because even though I felt all those feelings genuinely, I was in video thinking mode. Yeah, some people just aren't made for drinking. Is absolutely right. Like me and like Nick, in my opinion. I'm going to have to add that qualifier for this kind of thing. And it is one of those topics that I tend to speak less absolutely about other people's drug and alcohol habits. Because I understand that it's not helpful, usually. It wasn't helpful for me. But then, I mean, I got a lot of it from the ex-wife. I got so much of it that I became a little gun shy. Hey, son. Sorry we didn't get to meet up. You're the one person that I thought well, actually, there were two people I thought I might meet up with that I didn't. You and Lightbulb. Regardless, so the question being addressed broadly is, why does anyone do anything? And more specifically, what was the purpose of doing that, I guess? That's kind of the question that people are asking when they say, why did anyone do anything? Or why, if someone were to ask me, why did you do that? Why did you take that trip? I would have a lot of answers, and almost all of them would be answers I was making after the fact. None of them would really, I don't think, represent a good explanation as to why I did it. I did have quite a bit of fun. I had a blast. More than having a blast, I felt like I grew a lot as a human being. Unavoidably, kind of. Because I experienced a lot of new stuff and a lot of new scenarios, and I learned a lot of stuff. Well, in general, historically, I've always said I'm a bit of a homebody and I don't like to travel. If I could do a similar trip again, why would I? Well, now I'd have much more definitive reasons for it that are actually legitimate reasons to do it, which would be things like, well, now I have something invested into this concept. So I'm definitely going to pursue this concept further, getting objects from individuals and putting them in the marketplace. I haven't really gotten anything productive done today except for Death Comes Upon Eric, which I made right after I got home because I wanted to listen to it. Because I thought that, I was like, I bet that was pretty funny. I listened to it, and maybe it was just the mood I was in. I was just kind of insane, but it made me laugh. So I was like, I'm making a video out of this. I think it's hilarious. I don't know. I haven't watched it since I woke up from my nap, though. I may not think so quite so highly of it now. Anyhow, the thing is, I want, in general, life to be captivating. I think this is a quality I've determined a lot of ENTPs share. I met with a lot of them on the trip. I met with Taylor. I met with Not Host Mark. They display very differently. Not Host Mark is a rather committed Christian. And I totally respect that. I mean, he asked me to lead the prayer for Thanksgiving dinner last night, so I was flattered by that and was happy to do so. It may not have been explicitly Christian, but it was monotheistic, my prayer. And so, I love the fact that that end of the spectrum is part of the whole deal too. And I guarantee you, at Taylor's house, I'm not being asked to lead any prayers. And yet it's the same fucking guy, deep down. Really. I mean, it's the ENTP thing. So, I learned a lot about ENTPs on this trip. I met with Nick. I met with Not Host Mark. I met with Taylor. I met with Trenton. Jay. That's 5 self-identified ENTPs. Is there anybody else I'm not thinking about? I think that's it for ENTPs. But that's a lot, right? I met 5 ENTPs. 6. Jordan. That's an important one. She's totally ENTP too. The girls are a little different. She reminds me more of my daughter than of all of the guys. I learned about FE on this trip. I think all of the ENTPs, Tiffany I didn't meet with, but for the purpose of this, yeah, I mean, I learned a lot about myself in general. Um, FE was an important area of that. I determined that I think my FE is a little stronger than most ENTPs. Usually, not always. And I think that I realized I use it a lot more than I would want to acknowledge if asked in some sort of vacuum that can't exist, you know. Probably has to do with being older, I'm sure. I also suspect it has a shitload to do with watching myself on video all the time. Because I don't think I used to be as FE savvy as I am now. But in the process of making videos, I learned to see things I didn't like to watch and adjust accordingly. Oh, John! John is a 7th ENTP. And John was an important part of this whole picture of the ENTP that I got. More than anything else, abstractly, I think I got that out of the trip. You're talking about abstract knowledge about cognitive functions and types and stuff. Yeah, I mean, when you spend time with that many ENTPs in rapid succession, all of whom at some point talk a little bit at least, except Jordan, about cognitive functions, then you've got a lot of data to deal with. One other thing I learned was that I feel like I know each of the people I met in person way better for having met them in person than I did prior to meeting them in person. I'm not quite sure why. I have to think about that. I felt, I mean, by and large, I felt really loved by a lot of people on this trip. I appreciated Unify going out of his way to tell me that talking with famous people was useful to him and why. I really appreciated Michelle going out of her way to tell me why and how talking with famous people helped her, or she enjoyed it, or she. That's the thing, is people telling me that it's useful to them and helps them with identity issues, which is the same thing I've always had to deal with, is identity issues. So like, well, Unify indicating that he didn't really have any like-minded people around him. He didn't have any NTPs or people who were interested in this kind of stuff in general. So that was satisfying to hear. It made me think that there's a need in general. And I don't think Host Ken and I talked about it explicitly, but what he did talk to me about was how much fun he had. And that's important a lot to me as well. And that he's indicated things like, I'm trying to go out and do more things now. So, I mean, that's cool too. And we had a great time. I mean, Host Ken and I get along swimmingly. INFJs and ENTPs usually do. And we have great fun together. So that when when I push the social envelope a bit, as long as I don't push it too far, which I didn't in this instance, there was like one scene of the video after transubstantiation where I kind of like run around a bit and make some noise and kind of ham it up, you know? And host Ken, of course, his telling of that story is about the reaction of the other parties in the parking lot to it. Which is so INFJ, right? And he was like, he tells about the guy who had, you know, like 1,000 scolding moms gather on his face and coalesce into one expression. And I don't know, I just really like that. Where are my cigarettes? I have no more talking with famous people linen of any sort.
No more what?
Linen. That means no more shirts, no more of those things that hang down, those little squares that say talking with famous people on them. I give them all away to everybody. Because I met with so many people, right? I think, how many people total did I meet? Lorenz Walker, Jason Neff, Taylor, Katie, Jordan. That's not even counting other people that I met at Taylor's house too, because Taylor's got random people walking around all the time. Then Jay, Courtney, Trenton, Michelle, Nick, Host Ken, Unify, John, not Host Mark, and Hayden, famous person Hayden, who I met for the first time, but we got good videos on him, typed him. So, how many was that? 15? I think it was 15. Or was it 10? I don't remember. I think it was 15, though. I met Host Ken's family. I met his sister and the 3 little hellions she's got running around the house. I met his mom and his dad. Talked to his dad for a little while. I met Lorenz Walker's parents. And, you know, that was probably the awkwardest of the meetings for the parents, I mean. Because when I went in there, I was like, it sort of occurred to me finally, oh, this is really weird. These people are going to think they've got to think I'm up to no good or something. Why is this old man hanging out with my 18-year-old son? And, you know, why is he coming to Colorado to visit my 18-year-old son? Like, this finally occurs to me as I'm, like, walking up to ring the doorbell, you know? And pretty much hadn't occurred to me before there was anything unusual. That people would, you know, I knew that people would be like, really? But my interpretation on it was, people are going to be like, oh, you shouldn't meet with someone from the internet because they're going to kill you. And that there's this sort of like Craigslist urban myth thing. That was kind of my read on it. But then I realized that's not the only thing that somebody might want to go do, you know? And when I was walking up the driveway, I thought, oh, Jesus, this is weird. And then, but I just, you know, what are you going to do? You're going to fucking at his door. You might as well fucking knock on the door, ring the doorbell. And in fact, his mom said, before we left the house, you're coming back, right?
Yeah, I'm staying with my parents now for a couple months, and that thought had kind of crossed my mind. Like, that is just not something you see. I don't think that's a normal social thing. Like, it's just not something you see very often. So,
well, The cool thing is, Lorenz Walker's parents and Lorenz and Jason F. all smoke weed, so it was perfectly fine for us to smoke weed in the garage while we were working on shit, which is nice.
So when's the next one?
The next trip?
Yeah.
Not right away. I actually think the next trip is going to be host Tim by himself going on a trip.
Mm.
That's what I imagine. Probably either somewhere in state or one of the neighboring states, like a shorter, quicker thing, obviously. If I do this thing again, though, I will, or not if, when I do it again, I'm going to be smarter on a lot of things. It's not going to cost me so much money because I'm not going to be stupid. You know, I got a speeding ticket on the way from Kansas to New Mexico because my speedometer didn't work because the cops had broken my fucking car. Speedometer still doesn't work, so I didn't know how fast I was going. It's like empty road, no harm, no foul, but yes, foul. I gotta pay them $180 or something. So, I mean, well, I forgot I was making a video here. I was supposed to be making a video on the question of what makes anyone do anything, or what makes someone do something. For me, the answer is as simple as it's like soccer. I kick a ball a little distance. Then I note, oh, the ball's over there. And there's some people right there. Oops, better get away from them. So I kick it a little more. And then eventually, shit just happens. I don't know. And then when you look back at it, you go like, oh, but look at this path you took. It makes concentric circles, or it makes a perfect spiral or something. And well, but it just happened that way. It's not like I planned to do it that way. It's hard for me to say how come this happened when or why I did something like this or anything, because everything is made up of lots of little steps. That's NE versus NI. I bet INFJs don't experience life like that, where they find it impossible to say why or how anything happened, really.
No, it's there, so you just do it. But what do you mean? What are you saying?
Well, I'm saying NE style living is like soccer. I can't tell you how I'm going to get the ball from here to that goal because that involves me weaving around all the moving parts. But I have the feeling that introverted intuitors approach it more holistically.
I guess so. I don't see the distinction though. I don't. Maybe it's because I'm coming from an entirely holistic picture. So I see, like for instance, your road trip. It is your road trip, and the only sort of action I see is the initial setting out for it. Maybe I don't know.
Right, but the thing is, its nature is determined by, by the end of it, I had a clear transubstantiation ritual because I had transubstantiated a bunch of different objects into artifacts. So I took the map cast. I'd say, by the fiery map cast flames of Yalor's truth, I, Pastor Eric, do hereby render thee transubstantiated. and then it's transubstantiated. But at the beginning, it sort of evolved over the course of the trip to that concise, specific version of it. Prior to that, in earlier incarnations of it, it was different things a little bit until it settled in and found itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. one of the more interesting things I did the whole trip was get my tarot cards read by a tarot card reader in
All right.
Yellow Springs, Ohio. And I found it very insightful. Like the guy was right on the money about everything. Yeah. But I think the takeaway I took from it was if I want to get psychological help from now on, if I ever want to do that again, like talk to somebody, I should go to a tarot card reader, not a shrink, because the growth that I have to make involves listening to other people, not talking. There's no more work I can do from talking, right? But I can't self-develop by talking my way into explaining shit better for myself. How many more words can I fucking say? So just sitting there and listening to that guy explain everything to me, and just the only thing I was saying was things like, interesting. Occasionally, like shit like that, you know. That was. I mean, it gives your brain a lot to settle on. Hi, John. Yeah, it's very possible to tire of being logical. Yeah, John's house is a beautiful ENTP Squalor Fest.